So, hello. I welcome everyone from all around the world to this very interesting uh, interview. I'm Nicholas from What Clinic, one of the largest worldwide directories in the world for clinics and doctors. Today we have arranged for you a very interesting interview, or let's say a discussion about medical tourism, the impact of COVID-19, and how we can tackle any challenges during this period and in the future. And for this discussion, we wanted to invite one of the most experienced professionals on medical tourism with more than 10 years experience on his back. It's Frank Nunez. Welcome, Frank.
Thank you, Nicholas. It's great to be here. Absolutely.
Nice to have you here. I have to admit that I was expecting this interview with much excitement because I know you're working on medical tourism for many years and you even organize your own convention on
Right.
medical tourism, right?
Right.
And you
That's
help
exactly.
professionals to take medical tourism one step further. So I'm sure today's discussion is gonna be really interesting and insightful.
I hope so. I hope it's a benefit to a lot of folks that watch this. There should be a little bit of information for everyone to benefit from here. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So to start, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you start having an interest in medical tourism, and what is your
Right.
role in medical tourism?
Well, it's interesting because it's one of those things I didn't know I was going to do. I studied engineering. I'm a psychologist. I've done other branches, I guess, and then started helping out a friend of mine, a dentist, with his clinic. And I discovered at that time dental tourism. It's amazing how many people come across borders to get treatment. So I started doing that, and I became a facilitator, right? So basically, just I help patients determine where to go, how to negotiate, what doctors to seek out, and that kind of stuff. How to negotiate a price is really important for them. So that's what I help them with, right? After being a facilitator for a few years, I noticed that a lot of doctors were asking me, literally, well, how are you doing so well, or how do you do it? Send me some patients. And so I began training. At that point, I started offering a lot of doctors and clinics, private clinics, my training and my workshops, which I can talk to people about later. That way they could do what I'm doing. It was controversial because some of the facilitators did not want me to teach doctors how to do it because it kind of seems like they don't need us anymore, even though that's not true. From there, I needed more help. Then I started the call center. Our call center is actually in Mexico City. And we work with about 20 people as facilitators, digital marketers, consultants, etc. And then the most recent thing that we're doing in my medical, it's really exciting, is I was asked to give our first convention. It was last year. It's a medical tourism convention. It was in Mexico, and the second one is scheduled to be in Guadalajara next year as well. And then I'm thinking of actually going closer to you, Nicolas, and where What Clinic is. We want to go to another country in Europe for that convention. So that's pretty much my role in medical tourism. And, there was a huge need for it.
Yeah.
That's the reason I stayed there.
So
Yeah.
what opportunities did you see in medical tourism, and you decided to focus on this when your friend, your dentist friend, told you about this?
Right. So the first thing that I found out about myself in particular is that I knew how to do it really well, right? And anytime you find a niche or something that you do really well, you just kind of pursue that and take it further and further. That's all I did there. So the opportunity was simple. It was a good match. In my case, I'm binational, bicultural, and I live in both countries. So when it comes to the border between the US and Mexico, it was a perfect fit for me at that point. And I knew both countries really well. The opportunity was clear. So I went ahead and stopped doing whatever else I was doing, and I pursued medical tourism and started my medical.
Okay, yeah, this is very interesting. And what are the benefits actually of medical tourism for both
Right.
patients and clinics?
It's for the patient, it's real clear. It's savings. 9 out of 10 people will ask me about prices. They'll ask about, that's why they're calling us, obviously. So obviously they also get quality and they get amazing doctors. They discover that later. The only thing they're focused on at first is the amount of money that they're going to save. Then they realize they're getting a vacation out of it, and they go to a beautiful beach and get to go see museums, etc. Right.
So it's
So
a
for the
combination.
patient, Yeah, for the patient, at first it's savings, and then they benefit in the form of a experience for them as vacation, right? Mm-hmm. For the clinics, for the clinics and the doctors, this is a new source of income for them. It's a new market. And all business owners are always looking for a new resource. This becomes a new resource for a lot of people that are not doing it and they want to venture into it. This is perfect, especially if you're in the right destination and you have the right tools and certifications.
Yeah, exactly. So some people may believe that less expensive procedures compared to their country may not be so effective, or this could be a risky investment to travel to another country for a treatment. What would you say to them about this?
Right. So we get that a lot, and we have an answer for it. That's an obstacle for us, mm-hmm. the comparison of quality, because they correlate it to price. But it's false. If anything is true behind that, is what we explain to patients. It's not that we're cheaper. It's not that we're less expensive. It's that where you live, it's really expensive, mm-hmm. and it's inflated.
It's the other side.
So, right. Let's not compare. You know, if you notice, we have dental surgeons in the U.S., in America, in the United States that literally live where famous Hollywood stars live. That's mm-hmm. the kind of money they make because they inflate so much their price. You see a lot of plastic surgeons in Beverly Hills. You know, and you see a lot of cosmetic surgeries in Beverly Hills. Why is that? You know, obviously they're at that margin. So don't get confused. I always tell the patients, and we explain to them, we're not cheaper. We're just market price. Mm-hmm. At home where you live, it's extremely expensive. That's a problem.
And what about the quality of the services? I think it will be the same like in home.
It's exactly the same. In some case, I'm going to dare to say it's a lot better because of how much more experience the doctors that we work with have. Absolutely. Quality is at least the same. How's that for an answer?
Exactly. Actually, there are some countries really famous for their treatments, such as Turkey for hair transplant and Mexico for the dentists.
Right.
Yeah. So,
exactly right.
What are the main barriers in medical tourism and how these are managed by clinics and medical tourism professionals like you? Maybe language?
Well, in some cases, geographical distances could be a barrier. Like, you know, let's just say I get approached by a particular clinic in a particular country that's miles and miles away from their market that they're targeting, which is the US or Canada. That's a barrier. That's a little bit complicated. We need to only seek out people that want to go to that country, right? So you know all about that at What Clinic. You guys are experts at figuring out the trends in the countries and that kind of stuff. Language can be a barrier, but Americans love accents. Mm-hmm. So even if you don't speak the language really well, I mean, I guess I could speak for most Americans. We love to hear accents. We love that. Culture and learning the personality traits of Americans, that's a barrier. That's where the sales come in, right? So that's what we do. That's basically what we teach people to do. We say, okay, you need to realize that you're selling a product, but behind that product or service, you have a lot of fears, so a lot of tendencies. For instance, a really good example is driving. Mm-hmm. You need to understand how people drive in the US, because when you pick them up at the airport in your country, you need to drive the same way. If you're in Mexico City, people drive really recklessly, and right away the experience becomes a bad experience, right? They're scared, they're grabbing onto the cab, and like, oh my God, they don't know how to drive. They don't realize it's a cultural difference. So a lot of times we explain to people, hey, you know what? You need to learn to drive like they do at home so that they feel comfortable. Those are the kind of barriers that we deal with. And barriers come before the visit. Mm-hmm. We have obstacles, as we call them. You call them barriers, we call them obstacles. We also have obstacles during their visit and when they go back home, like warranties and that kind of stuff. So did I answer that?
Yeah. Okay. So you make sure that you solve or you answer all the questions of patients before their visit and before
Absolutely.
They're traveling.
We have to get their trust, right? We got to build somewhat of a relationship, even though it's over the phone. We can manage that, and the ultimate goal is to make our patient or your patient an ambassador, someone that had such a wonderful experience and is so happy, and they've created a memory that they're never going to forget. The most common memory patients have is this one. They say, I didn't think it was going to be so modern and experienced. Like I went to Mexico, as an example. I went to Mexico, and the dentists had studied at Harvard or studied in the US and Europe, and they come back home with this amazing experience and memory, and they automatically share it with their friends and family. That's what we want. We don't want the opposite of that, obviously, which can happen.
This is very important. Actually, word of mouth is one of the most earned advertisement and inexpensive, in a way, advertisement that
it's free.
A clinic can have. Yeah, I mean, behind this, there is a lot of investment to reach this level.
But you're talking about follow-ups and creating ambassadors. That's exactly what should do.
So, in general, which countries would you say are focused more on medical tourism, and for which treatments?
Well, there's a tendency, like obviously, you know that Turkey is famous for hair transplant. In Mexico, we have a lot of dental. And in some countries are seen and sought after. Like I think in Brazil and Latin America, they also have the plastic surgery. It's like a big deal. You know, you have some popular doctors down there.
Also South Korea and other countries, yeah.
And sometimes you not only do you have the you know, you're not known for the treatment. Sometimes you're known just for the price or the environment, right? So, you know, that's true. It exists. However, I think every country has the opportunity to offer every treatment, especially now when we're going to do this packaging thing, because after COVID stuff, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, it does. I guess any country will focus on medical tourism. Most people don't realize that the United States has medical tourism. I mean, they're rated pretty high. And you say, well, wait, they're so expensive there. Yes, but there's a market for them as well. So when you say which countries, it's literally all of them. Your country has to be in pretty bad shape for people not to want to come there. You know, so I guess the answer to that is every country is a good candidate for medical tourism as long as you follow the standards that we expect from it.
Yeah, this is very interesting. So let's take a step back before the current situation of COVID-19.
Right.
I was looking into What Clinic's data about medical tourism, and I found that until the announcement of the pandemic, medical tourism was a popular solution, especially for specific destinations, as you have mentioned. So, do you believe that local authorities worldwide played an important role in this development by encouraging and supporting medical tourism?
Are you talking about before or during?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when we say local authorities, from flying authorities, local authorities, politics, everything.
So you have a lot of combined efforts in some countries. Like I believe Turkey is really popular for their airlines giving a discount when people come to get some kind of medical treatment. What we do in the local border here is we actually assigned a medical lane. That medical lane allows for our medical visitors to go back home, driving back home a lot faster, and they don't have to do as long of a wait, because sometimes the border wait can be hours long. So sometimes we have the support of the local governments and the authorities. And when we do have it, it's much appreciated. It's economy. We all know about how economy works. We need to move and shake, and we need to make some money. But the truth is that in medical tourism, I've discovered that a lot of the private sectors are the ones that push this the most. And that's admirable. So I don't know what all countries, how they all work, and I'm not going to criticize how they do things. But I do know that the private sector is my favorite. That's where you understand that there's an income to be made, and there's a future in this. And I appreciate when people don't wait for their government elements, like the leaders, to promote it. They basically, I know a lot of people that say, you know what, I don't care about my government, I'm going to do it myself. And that's happened a lot. We've had a lot of doctors that say, I'm doing this on my own, and they invest in it and they promote their city.
So
even though
would you say that the public sector has underestimated the value of medical tourism?
Not that they have, maybe they have better priorities. Maybe they have, remember, their public figures have a tough job. I'll never criticize them. And they have a lot of pressures. Maybe they don't see a future in it yet. Or maybe they figure, hey, let people like Frank and What Clinic figure that out on their own. I don't know. Maybe they're going to push it on to us. But when it is needed, and I have seen a lot of stuff where people do seek out some help, and they do get it sometimes. it depends where you are. It depends. Over here on the border, we have a lot of support in some cities, and then in some cities we have zero support.
Yeah.
Mexico as a country has a lot of conflictive opinions about medical tourism.
Why do you think this is happening?
What was that?
Why do you think this is happening?
I'm not sure. I believe we are, like in Mexico, they're in a very comfortable part of the map.
Mm-hmm.
So they know that it's really easy for Americans to come down. So you have a geographical advantage. When you have that, you may not want to put forth as much effort in trying to win your patient and sell your service. If you're in a different country, let's just go way further south. Let's go to Guatemala, Costa Rica, Panama. That's a little bit further. And you have to make a little bit more effort because you don't have the geographical or the driving advantage. Maybe that's why.
During your career, do you have any examples of countries or places seeing medical tourism as a threat?
As a threat? No, the US.
The US. That's a big market there.
Well, actually, I do actually get criticized. I've actually done a lot of shows. I literally go to a lot of events in the US to promote medical tourism throughout the world and kind of let people know, because I consider myself an American that for many years, I did not know about medical tourism. And I discovered that, hey, this is not only is it less expensive or more affordable, we have some awesome doctors all over the world, and Americans don't know. So then I took it upon myself to visit I go to a lot of RV or senior citizen communities. I go to shows, travel shows, vacation shows, and I just put up a stand and start talking to people. I do a lot of speaking engagements. When I go there, I get a lot of criticism from the local doctors. They're like, hey, I'm a dentist. Why should they go over there? And so then I get a little bit, but I say, hey, you know what? You're not complaining about going on vacation to Cancun. Why don't you, if you were a resort in Florida, maybe you should be complaining about that. So it's a little bit of it's a different way to look at it. But it's a global world now, especially now. So they should be, but that's the only people that feel a little bit threatened. Mm-hmm.
So what do you think has boosted interest in medical tourism? We talked about prices, quality, maybe a chance to experience new places. Is there anything else behind this?
I see trendy stuff, and I see the social media has helped a lot, but the real reason is it's what we call the push-pull factor. Mm-hmm. Some countries push away their patients by raising prices. By having these issues with, I don't know, lawsuits or insurance premiums that are huge, or not offering that treatment in their medical plan, right? So that's a push. They're pushing people away. And at the same time, you have countries that are pulling them in by giving them, like you said, a better price, an amazing experience, a vacation, visual stimulation that, it's something you're going to talk about. It's an experience. Mm-hmm. So that's what I see is what gets people interested. They're like, there are a lot of patients that I talk to and I've talked to over the years. I say, I would never have considered going anywhere else, but I am so glad that I did. And I will make sure that everyone knows about my experience. And when I hear that, I was like, okay, job well done. That's
you made them into ambassadors.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Actually, I've seen some insurance companies offering, actually covering the expenses of traveling to another country to have a treatment. I think this may be a factor actually for medical tourism.
So medical tourism itself has a lot of branches,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of people try to tap into it, right? Most of the people trying to tap into it, like insurance companies or loan people or whatever, it's more of an opportunity that they're looking for, right? So we have the essence of business. Yeah. It's a business, mm-hmm. like everything else. Then you have like what I like to call our company, My Medical Destination, which we're a lot more ethical. We're trying to protect and make of this industry. And this is what I see in What Clinic, which is why I have a great relationship with you guys. You guys care about the industry. And that's so important to me. Obviously, some of us have figured out, but the quality of service and the quality of doing things is what's really going to keep us here. That's a given.
That's it, yeah. And it's the quality of services not only to patients, but all to clinics as well. It's a
Sure.
win-win situation here.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
are there any clinics who work only or mostly with international patients?
There's no such thing as someone that says I only accept international patients, but there are really a lot of clinics, especially around the border, that 99.9% of their patients are from another country or from the US. It's something that's, in fact, there are towns that everyone in the town only speaks English. And no one speaks Spanish. I mean, everything's in dollars. It's almost like an extension of the US because of the high demand, because of that push-pull factor. So people just come. They come thousands and thousands of people come into some of these tiny little towns that offer some amazing service. Los Algodones is like, I think it's world known now. It's become, I think it's Guinness Book of World Records for the most dental cosmetic surgeons in like a blog. I don't know. It's that's what happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's some, but not, it's not exclusive to only foreigners. You can't do that. That's discrimination.
Let's dive into our business more, actually. To attract international patients, which mediums do you find more effective for a clinic to use?
To attract them at the very first filter, like to get them to click on our link or something. Well, obviously, good management of advertisement and digital marketing and good reviews. Those are the things that, having some videos, asking the doctors to get a YouTube channel and having stuff like that. Hit all the media. I mean, don't just be selective to just like Facebook. Some people like Facebook. Now we're talking into generations, certain generations, like certain age groups will use Facebook. Other age groups will go to Instagram. So you need to go to all the age groups, which means you need to go to all your social media. So reviews help a lot in those videos, right?
So online presence is an essential factor for success.
Absolutely. It's definitely going online, and having all these things like Facebook may not get you a new client, but it definitely will give you credibility. The patient will look at all this stuff the doctor has and says, oh, wow, look at all those pictures. Absolutely. Credibility is definitely good. It's kind of like
we pay so much attention on reviews at What Clinic. And we want them to be genuine, original. We spend a lot of time to make sure that the reviews are from real patients, because we believe reviews help a lot.
You guys, it's not, I'm not just saying this. You guys really took the lead on that, the way you do your reviews. I'm really happy about that. That is, I always use my link for for the doctors I work with. I give them the link to the reviews on your portal on What Clinic, because, especially if they're good reviews, right? So because I know that that helps them, they're verified. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Yeah, this is very important. And apart from the reviews, what is important for patients to search for when looking for treatments abroad, and how clinics should prepare themselves about this?
Right. So, credibility, I just mentioned. They should also look into safety, right? They really should look into the quality and years of experience of the staff, not just the doctor. Like sometimes there is a general anesthesiologist involved. Well, some people don't even ask about him. He could be straight out of school. We always want to make sure the patient knows that it's not just the doctor, it's not just the receptionist, it's not just us. There are other people on the team. How many people, like for instance, are going to do their surgery? Like, let's just say somebody wants to do a gastric bypass.
So for transparency.
Right. We need to have a team, a full team that's going to take care of your surgery. Not only that, like we work with doctors that have used the same staff and the same operation team for more than 5 years. So they know how each other works. So that's so important. So they should be looking at that kind of stuff. And that's what we've been actually telling them and training them, because we also educate the patient.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what's funny? This is like a really interesting thing. Americans do not do any research at home. But when they cross the border, they do a lot of research. And I'm like, wait a minute. Have you ever asked your local doctor to show you his credentials? No. Well, you should. You should find out. But it's kind of like one of those interesting things that happen. It's just a symptom, and so we need to be ready for that. They should also look into the facility. They should also look into so My Medical Destination created a checklist that we offer doctors in our workshops. Okay, this checklist gives you pretty much everything on there that the patient should be looking for. Mm-hmm. And the checklist provides everything for you that you should have to become a good candidate for medical tourism. That's something that because it's a long list of things that they should be looking for.
Absolutely. And also, I believe it's very important to start building a relationship at the very beginning when sure. The patient approaches you and start asking questions. So to build this relationship and make the patient trust you.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's go now to the current situation, this difficult time of COVID-19. Right. When the pandemic was announced and traveling restrictions and lockdowns applied worldwide, medical tourism started to suffer because it's mostly based on traveling abroad. So how clinics, which were mostly based on international patients, manage their operations right now?
So unfortunately, it hit some people harder than other people. And I've heard of many clinics that have actually closed, especially in some of the towns where are very competitive, right? If you were new, you hadn't built up a huge clientele, this pandemic affected you quite greatly. You're going to have to come back later. Right now, during COVID, which is what we're in right now, I call it the surviving stage. Mm-hmm. Okay, right now we got to survive this. The post-COVID is a rebuilding stage. As a stage of survival, many in the U.S. we have this saying that's like, let's just say, I'm gonna go ahead and take this course online. Well, I'll take it later. I'll save it for a rainy day, right? I'll do it later. The thing rainy day is something we use frequently for doing something later. Like when it's rainy and I cannot actually go jogging, well, then I'll take my course in the house.
Have more time.
We are in that rainy day. This is our rainy day right now. So we need to do all those things that we said we wanted to do. Let's take advantage of that. Let's just squeeze everything we can out of this time. We don't know how long it's going to last or how we're going to recover. So some people did close, and some people are actually doing those things they said for a rainy day. In some cases, like some of the doctors that we've talked to and some of the consulting that we've done, we've kind of targeted the categorizing of your clients, your VIPs, your very important clients, your ambassadors that are already recommending people. Let's contact them. Let's go ahead and talk to your regular clients, maybe someone that's just come once, whatever. Let's see how we're going to treat them. And obviously, we're always going to have the new patient that's not here yet. That's obviously now being treated with online stuff and differently. But at least we're helping you categorize your clients and how to approach each of them. A lot of doctors gave out gifts. They sent out packages to their patients. They did all kinds of stuff online for them. So that's something that they could do. They're engaging their clients still with something new and letting them know, hey, I'm still here and I'm doing whatever I can to help you still. So that's something that they're doing to survive this.
Yeah, I believe this is the most important thing, to show that you are still available.
Right.
And as you said, now it's a period that everyone has much more time than before. And we've seen that international patients are still searching for treatments abroad. We see traffic on our website. At the beginning, yes, we did see a drop in traffic, but after some days it came back, the traffic, and also sending inquiries to clinics. How clinics can support these patients that are interested in traveling when the time allows it?
Right. So some of them are shooting for a future appointment, which is fine. They have more time. They can't go to work. So like, let's see what's going on. I always wanted to get, breast augmentation, or always wanted to get the hair transplant. Let me do the research now. They start clicking on what clinic and stuff. So we get a lot of leads still. The turnaround on closing obviously is not as good as before, but if you are, slick about it, the turnaround and building relationships is easier.
Exactly.
Because now you're going to do a lot of pre-visit follow-ups. You're going to just kind of schedule several calls, several emails about for the lead that you got last week, and say, hey, we talked last week. This is Frank. How you doing? Everything cool? We talked about your dog. I don't know. Build that relationship, build that rapport, and let them know I'm here. I want to be a candidate. I want to be a contender when you decide to get this done. And you can tell them, we are really honest. That's why I'm calling you. I want you to feel comfortable with me. If you go someplace else, no problem. But at least I'm going to do my job of trying to win you over.
Exactly.
Give me an opportunity.
This is what we advise clinics. Keep receiving inquiries. These patients are interested in coming to your facility when the situation allows it. So start building a relationship, answer to their questions. This is the most important things. Are clinics accepting patients from abroad during this time, and under what conditions?
Right. So this is kind of interesting, because I think clinics now are doing things a lot better in taking every precaution. Like I've seen some steps that these doctors are taking that I feel safer in their clinic. Number one, they obviously don't have as many patients, right? So you're the VIP now. If you go to see a doctor right now, if you're allowed to go and see your doctor, you're literally going to have the doctor's complete attention right now. He's going to try really hard. You're probably going to be able to negotiate a better deal because there's a risk factor involved. So the conditions are better, maybe safer, and it sounds kind of weird for me to say that, but before, pre-COVID or before COVID, you had a lobby full of people. There was sometimes some of these clinics don't even have a place for you to sit. Now you have the whole lobby for you and maybe 2 other people. So the conditions have, I think, become a little bit better for the patient in some cases, right? If you're following all the standards. Some of them are accepting patients. Yes, you're right. Some people are still treating. In some countries you can't, in some states you can't. You have to be careful. So a lot of times we get that call. They call us maybe from what clinic, and they say, hey, what's going on with you? What are your rules? They're not even really worried about whether they're going to get infected. They're more worried about, what are your rules? Can we go to your city? And, what's going on? So definitely, yeah, we try to accommodate them and let them know everything they need to know. And doctors will have masks. And obviously, if you have some symptoms, they'll take precautions, that kind of stuff.
Having said that, during difficult times, people devise new procedures or technologies in order to overcome any obstacles in their operations. How does this apply to clinics and doctors during this period? What new procedures or services they may offer to help the communication between them and existing potential patients?
Well, maybe there's a more personalized approach right now. So for instance, we try to do minimum point of contact for, like, let's say somebody's flying into a particular city, and then they're coming to our clinic after that. We try to do this thing where, hey, let's just assign one person to you. He's going to pick you up. He's going to take you to the clinic. That way you're not going anywhere else, and you minimize the risk for any kind of infection. So that's some of the steps that we're taking. Obviously, we're training, we and the doctors, are training their staff as to what to do, wear a mask, everything, even in the things that we say to them. We want to make sure we don't sound too relaxed. We want to make sure we take the step of explaining to every patient, even the patients that don't care. We're saying that we're going to go ahead and follow everything we're supposed to do. So as far as procedures, maybe the way you do the procedure is different. I'm not sure if there's any new procedure yet. Obviously, we're going to isolate you to a doctor and an assistant only, because it's only a few patients now, right? And we're going to go ahead and make sure that everything's sterilized and cross-contamination of bacteria will not exist, because we have all our equipment and all that stuff to clean that with. But maybe that's it. Maybe it's just more of the way we do the procedures. I haven't seen of any new procedure yet. We have this common enemy, which is this bug called, whatever, and we don't know how to get rid of our enemy right now. We're trying to adapt to it, which is like we're kind of surrendering right now, but that's fine. We're going to survive it, and then we're going to go ahead and come and get the bug.
Actually, we've seen a lot of clinics adapting to this new situation concerning the consultation phase, like offering Skype calls, video calls during the consultation. Do you believe this is effective?
Yeah, it's worked for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's worked for us because you're basically giving them a free online consultation. Not only do we do that, and for the people listening, we'll give you some tips. We're always giving you tips. That's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
We actually help the patient when we talk to them on the phone. We give them tips as to how to do an online consultation. I'm not talking about how to register to Zoom or anything like that.
Yeah.
We help them ask the right questions. Let's see, when you're online, why don't you write down the questions? And I would suggest you ask this and this and this to your doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So by doing that, we're kind of, again, we're coaching our patient as to what to do. And it's become really effective. The only people there are a lot of people that are camera shy or technically, at a disadvantage. Those are the people that don't want to do online stuff. But if you do know it and you're not camera shy, I think it works really well.
And I think this sets new levels of servicing patients for the future and after COVID-19.
Yeah, forever.
So what is your opinion about clinics advertising their medical services during this period?
I think you should definitely advertise. Yeah, well, advertising, I mean, some of it is cheaper now, mm-hmm. right? So what you could do is, advertise now and save some money. You first have to take an initiative and make a decision if you're going to continue to do this, because a lot of people are worried, am I going to be here in a couple of months or not? I always tell the doctors in the clinic, say, you know what, this is like having a new business. Mm-hmm. You're going to give yourself 3-4 months of cushion before you make $1. Let's just consider this new. Let's invest in it. And you have to make that decision that you're going to do it and you're going to have that positive attitude about it. If you do that, I mean, because this is going to settle. It's going to, this too shall pass. That's for sure. So by that time, are you going to be ready? So yeah, advertise. Absolutely. Advertise. Like we still, a lot of doctors advertise with you guys that we work with. And we're telling them what to do with that. Mm-hmm.
I totally agree, and this is the reason why at What Clinic we kept advertising and on a high budget, because we still believe that people are interested in finding, in searching actually for a treatment, making their research, and we see a lot of people coming on our website. So yeah, we want to help clinics.
I check you guys. I do check what you guys send out. You guys have a really nice newsletter for the people that are listening. Mm-hmm. Please read that newsletter. It's you guys. I'm really proud of what you do. You're taking the lead on that. But I also compare other sources, obviously. And to be quite honest with you, you're doing it matches. There's no discrepancy. What I've seen, everyone can look on Google and find out what's going on. And what I see is that the searches continue. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, and we want to be transparent. That's why every 2 weeks we publish insights from our data to people, and they can find our newsletter on our webpage and see the evolution and the development of interest in medical tourism during this period. And of course, we want your constructive feedback to become better.
Right. You want my constructive feedback?
Yeah, but this will be another webinar, I think. Maybe.
Hey, I have a long list. I'm always happy to help, Nicholas. You guys have always been great to work with. I'll be honest with you. And any time now I don't think I don't necessarily have the answer for you, but I will definitely give you whatever I have. And we could go with that. But
thank you for this. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, definitely advertise. If the question was should you advertise, the answer is yes, and take advantage that it's cheaper. Most people don't. I don't know what people do that are listening to this. Do you do your own AdWords? Do you hire someone to do it? Do you just go ahead and rely on What Clinic? It depends what you do. But if you're doing your own campaigning, this is a time to negotiate some stuff. And you can negotiate some stuff long term. You can negotiate something for a year, especially if you have so I would take advantage of that.
So compared to the pre-pandemic period, what advice would you give to clinics when they're receiving a lead from a potential international patient?
Basically what I said earlier, it's time for you to build a relationship. Exactly. You just want to be buddies with your patients now. You don't want to be too casual. You want to remain professional, but you want to be really honest about what you're doing. and stuff, to say, this is what we're doing, and explain it, write it down, write your script. People that are making calls and speaking to patients should pretty much have a really good idea of what's going on. Do not get political. COVID has become political now, and goodness, it's ridiculous. Please get away from that. Do not talk about politics. Just talk about how your clinic and your staff is going to do everything possible to help them.
So the key, let's say, is take advantage of new technologies and keep in touch with patients and start building a rapport, a relationship with them for the future.
Absolutely, definitely, absolutely.
So let's go to the after COVID-19 period, the period of rebuilding, reconstructing.
Rebuilding it, exactly. Yeah. Good job.
I'm paying attention to what you said.
Yeah, you are.
So when the worldwide restrictions start to ease, how long do you think it will take for medical tourism to recover its lost ground and reach the before COVID-19 levels?
You know what? That answer is kind of in two phases, because there is a period of time that will take us to recover if we have a vaccine, right? And there's a different period of time that will take us to recover if we never get a vaccine, or if it takes a long time to get it. Let's just go ahead and pretend we have a vaccine. I don't know who comes up with it, whether the Chinese, Americans, wherever. It's here and it works. I'm gonna just guess 6 months to a year, things are booming again. That's with the vaccine proven to work.
And given that the flying restrictions are eased.
Yeah. Now, that's because most people are going to have the vaccine. So your fear, at least of this string of COVID or whatever, is going to be gone, or 90% gone.
Yeah.
The issue is, what if we don't have a quick vaccine, or what if it takes 5 years, or we have to continue to learn to live with this issue? For you to really recover, like you're talking about, I think it's going to take, I don't know, at least 2 years more than that. And you have to adapt. Like real estate is going to change. If you have a virus going on, you can't sit right next to each other. The airports are opening one seat, closing one seat, opening. We've all seen those images. That's going to happen at the clinic now. We're going to have to probably have a much bigger clinic, so that you can spread people around and you could actually isolate them to one team of specialists. That would be the most optimum way to do things.
Yeah, that's true. So this new reality has started to emerge even now. We see clinics opening and there are restrictions, limited number of people and pre-tests.
Yes, those are important restrictions. Yeah.
So in your opinion, what should clinics or medical professionals can do in order to accelerate the recovery, if this is possible?
Their own recovery for their business. Yeah. Well, you definitely have to just follow your standard, and there's probably going to be a local standard, which is so sad because everyone wants to take I got the idea of the standard. Like, no one knows. You don't even have but there's going to be a local centralized standard for your particular clinic. And then there's going to be a universal one, which I believe is going to be global. The World Health Organization and the CDC are probably going to push for, hey, this needs to be all the way across. If you need to make it better, yes. If you need to make it less, then it probably won't fly. So just be aware of your standards. That's going to help build confidence in your patient that you are looking into it. Definitely have a bunch of communication with them. Like I said, the actual pre-visit follow-up is really crucial now. You could design some really beautiful emails. We do that as well, where we say, hey, let's have visual stimulation. Let's give them the dream of, in a year, what they're going to see when they come here. We can put that on an email, just a nice little banner with a nice picture. That kind of communication is really well. It's subliminal. We understand that. It's emotional sales. Yeah, it's okay. Emotional sales work, and we're all for it. Let's start doing that. And for that category of clients that we did, that we decided to create the VIPs and the regular, let's definitely make more ambassadors. Let's just say, hey, you know what? I'd like to keep you on my VIP list. I'd like to continue communicating. You could always drop off, like a MailChimp, you can unsubscribe if you want, but you could just kind of be real honest and say, I'd like to keep you within my loop. And I'd like for you, since you know what I do and you know what my clinic offers, I'd like for you to help me promote myself. I need your help in the future. It's okay to ask a patient for their help. I do it all the time. Like, hey, I need your help. Can you write a review? That's pretty much it. Follow standards, more communication, and develop or work with a new ambassadorship.
And I'm sure that patients' feedback is more than welcome because it helps reconsider the patient journey during a treatment and make it better, because I think we need to change things after COVID-19 in this patient journey.
Absolutely. You need to be real careful how you ask for patient feedback because it becomes political. Like sometimes they'll ask me, like I said earlier, hey, what's going on with your doctors, Frank? How, what's going on over there? Like, well, okay, these are the rules that we're following. If I turn around and say to them, what's going on in your city? They start talking for like 20 minutes about the precedent and this and the hoax. And we don't want to do that. So you got to be real careful when you ask your patient about their feedback. You got to be specific about those questions. In fact, write them down before you say them and say, I'd like to know if you guys your hotel's closed? Do you still have, airlines working? Specific questions to avoid political talk.
Mm-hmm. So this is really interesting. Could you give some bullet points of for a clinic, what to take advantage and how to focus on a patient journey and what to do to improve the experience of a patient from the start to the end?
The truth is, Nicholas, that we're dealing with this new thing called COVID. Mm-hmm. But patients have always had fear of traveling for medical tourism. This is just one more thing. The way I see it is it's just one more obstacle. It's taking longer to figure out how we're going to get over the obstacle and how to fix it. But again, those fears of, am I getting a legitimate doctor? Is something going to happen to me when I travel? What if I die at the operating room? All those questions, all those fears that happen, this is just one more. Yeah. Okay, this is just one more. So, and it's actually, believe it or not, it's going to be an easier one to deal with. We're just going to have to adapt to it. But once, and I'm hoping we get a vaccine, then this is going to be an easier obstacle to get over. So looking at the fact that we already have trained ourselves, my staff is completely trained to get over obstacles. Every time we talk to a patient, like, oh, what about the airport so far? We have an answer. What about the hotel, this and that? Do they speak English? We have an answer. Do you take dollars? We have an answer. Now is, do you follow the COVID standard? We have an answer. Yes, we do. So it's going to be real simple. Obviously, we're only going to work with people that follow that standard. I'm not prepared to make the wrong choices as my company. We kind of tread, we walk cautiously. We make sure we visit every clinic that we work with, and we talk to every doctor that we represent. We have to. I don't want to tell a patient that I don't know what the clinic looks like.
Well, that's a very interesting advice, actually, for the clinics to create a list of possible questions from patients. Sure. And have ready answers actually to give to patients.
It's part of the process of converting your lead into a patient, into an ambassador. Yeah. Obstacles are between point 1, 2, and 3 all the time. The obstacle of selling it, the price, the travel. While you're at the clinic, whatever obstacles you have there. So yes. So when we make a call, that's what my medical destination does. We sell, that's what we do. So we are always prepared for what possible questions we're going to have. That's the answer to sales.
So what advice would you give to clinics in order to make international patients feel safe when traveling abroad for treatments after COVID-19?
Well, obviously, one of the things that most people want to hear is that many other people went there before me. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we do is, hey, a lot of patients from your city come to our clinic. That's something, if it's true, right? So we want to make sure you make them understand that this is a normal for them to come and visit us. That gives them a lot of sense of security. Send them the link to your reviews that we have at what clinic. Each of the fears, like we get different concerns. Like people want to know if the drug cartels are going to talk to them. It's like people sometimes think, so we need to tell them. I myself have lived in Mexico my entire life, in the US and Mexico, and I've never dealt with a drug cartel person. I've never seen one. I'll probably get excited if I ever meet one because it's only on TV. So so those are the fears that we have to deal with. So we have an answer for them. Get them to know that a lot of it is either false or it's not going to happen to them. You're not going to get kidnapped by the drug cartel.
Understand, yeah. So,
I want to mention one more thing about
yeah.
Americans always think they're a target, right? They say, I'm a target because I'm American. It's so false, but it's so true. You are a target, but not because of what their fears are. They're a target because they represent for us money. You come here and you're going to invest in Mexico or in another country and your vacation or your hair transplant. We need you. So you are our target, but we're not going to do anything to you. On the contrary, you're going to be our VIP. We're going to spot you out as an American or a Canadian or someone from England or Germany, because, we have a lot of first world countries. All these powerful countries that are doing medical tourism that come to the third world countries or whatever, we are targeting you, but not for what they think. We're just going to make sure you have an amazing experience. That's what they don't realize. And
offer you great quality at a great price.
That's right.
That's it.
Quality, service, and price.
Nice. So, I strongly believe that with every when we actually are living a difficult situation, there are also opportunities waiting for us. So, what opportunities do you think that will emerge after this difficult situation of COVID-19?
So there's still to be revealed, right? That's the truth. Like, I'm gonna give you some. We do a lot of brainstorming with some colleagues and mentors that I have, and we, I listen to a lot of people online and their interviews, and in some of the conversations with one of my mentors is like, there's an issue because I was talking about geographical medical tourism where people can drive. So that's our first target of patients. People may not want to fly yet, so they're going to drive. Okay, well, how far will you drive, right? So then, maybe people could drive up to 10 hours. Well, how many times do you have to go to the restroom in 10 hours? I mean, think about that. That's extremely important. Like, which restroom are you going to go into without getting infected or being scared of being infected? Yeah. So now they're talking about porta potties for your car. So if you think about all that, you talk about opportunities, it is ridiculous the amount of opportunities. Now we're talking about that. Or we're talking about selecting, I think there's an app for restrooms. There used to be an app for restrooms that are the cleanest restrooms. Now maybe there needs to be an app for restrooms that follow COVID standard, or maybe self-cleaning restrooms. So this whole thing was just it was just a topic about restrooms, and you could see how there are opportunities just there. The other thing we're talking about is greenhouses. Greenhouses being put in your own backyard. People are starting to want to do their own stuff. Very do-it-yourself kind of attitude. Countries like the US that have big yards, I know that there are countries that people live in apartments who can't do it. But there's another venture. So opportunities are going to be broad. In medical tourism itself, they're yet to be revealed. I think, not to reveal anything now, but there's some good stuff happening, I think. We're going to look at all the opportunities, and it's all going to be for the better experience for the patient. Absolutely.
Can we have a small heads up of what is going to happen? I have to ask.
Well, you know what? I'm going to use a word that's really important. It's called boutique. Everything that I'm thinking about is going to become boutique style. Okay? What boutique style does, it's obviously it's very personalized, but it's also just going to have that charm and that attention that you get in a boutique hotel kind of thing. So those packages that we're formulating, we're thinking about, it's just rough ideas. We don't know. It's going to be like your tours now are gonna target your families now. So we're gonna try to work on you or your close families, like your in-laws or your cousins. And we're thinking that people are gonna want to travel and take this chance together. Hey, let's just all go. Let's minimize point of contact. The tours are gonna be just for your family now. The clinic may be just for your family. So we're gonna do boutique style concepts. We'll see how it turns out. There's a tip for you.
Nice, thank you. So let's say that opportunities always exist and existed before the COVID-19, but now we see them more clearer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because of the difficult situation and because everyone wants to survive.
we're not seeing them more clearly. We're looking for them now. Now we want them.
Exactly.
Shoot, how am I going to make, what am I going to do now? How can I make this better? So now that, and I kind of like that ambition in the human, in humans. Like, hey, what can we do to make things better? So COVID is kind of pushing us to raise the level of quality, which, by the way, may be correlated to raising the price. That's another thing. Boutique traveling is not cheap. But I see that we as people are trying to work on things, and I see it all the time.
Having said that, do you believe that changes in price are gonna happen in the future after COVID-19? And I'm asking this because medical tourism, as you said, is based on one side on better prices.
Yeah, so you're right. We're going to bet on the desire to still travel, right? So that's what those packages, those boutique packages, are mostly related to. A couple of things may happen. Your local doctor may drop his price now because he actually lost business. And at the same time, that push-pull factor may not be as strong anymore. They may not be pushing as much, and we may not be able to pull as much because we're raising our price. That's the kind of stuff we can only speculate, Nicholas. We do not know that. So we're going to now rely a lot more on the fact that they want to do the tourism part of medical tourism, where we can just tell a travel agent, hey, man, I could do free consultations for all your visitors. Let's work together, that kind of stuff.
So the future is a little bit blurry, so we have to be ready and prepared.
We got to call a spade a spade. We need to know what's going on. Like, you guys are probably sitting doing brainstorming what's going to happen for you guys. We're a lot smaller than you guys, of course, but we are doing the same thing. We want to make sure we are ready for it. It's not going to disappear, though. It's going to stay there. We're just going to have to adjust.
Now, from your perspective as a medical tourism professional and expert, how do you plan to support your clinics to overcome any difficulties or losses due to the pandemic?
Right. So I'm an open book to my doctors. The relationships that I have with my doctors are very close. We're buds. That's kind of like I do with you guys, Nicholas. It's like that's the way I work. It is business, but we also want to have a level of trust. That's So what we do is there's sometimes people are easy to help, and sometimes they're not, for whatever reason. But I could tell you this: I am definitely going to do everything I can to help as many people as I can, because this is actually my business. I live from this. This is my bread and butter, and I like doing it. But it's going to vary. It's going to vary. So obviously the communication. The little stuff like how to do the pre-visit stuff, the consultations online, how to dress, how to, even like having a light. I mean, I have a light. I learned that I need a light when I do Zoom now, because if not, it's a little dark, right? So like, okay, doctor, get yourself a light. Go ahead and go on.
I have to learn actually, because I'm half dark.
Right, yeah, you have like the sunlight. That's fine. But what I'm getting at is all those little details raise the level of professionalism and they don't cost that much. It's not a huge investment. And that way we could help you have a better image and actually engage your clients a little better when you do online stuff, for instance. And that's just a short example. I mean,
small details always matter.
It's different for every doctor how we're going to help them. There's no one rule like this is going to help. Well, there is. Continue your advertisement. Raise the level of expectation for yourself. I guess that's what I would say. Put yourself in your patient's shoes. What do they want to see now? What are they seeing in other clinics? Do your own research and raise your level. That's what you should do.
Amazing advice. I totally agree. And I can say that I really like your positiveness. I'm sure after this webinar, many clinics will be inspired to keep going and not giving up. This is very interesting.
Absolutely.
At the very beginning of our webinar, I mentioned about you organizing a convention. So every year you organize a convention for medical tourism professionals. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Let me make a correction. I've so far only done one medical tourism convention, and it was trial. Again, because of the way the sequence of events that have happened for my medical destination and our group of people and our team, it just kind of changed into something else. We saw a need. We saw a need to go ahead and project our information and teach to as many people what we do. It's not that we're going to be competition, it's that we're going to level the quality of medical tourism. So for me, it affects me when people do things wrong. So that's why the convention actually was put in place. The convention itself, the second one is going to be in Mexico. And the third one, as I said earlier, we want to take it to different countries now.
Are you thinking to make it online as well? Because this is the trend right now.
You know what? There's stuff that, like, for instance, you're right. We're doing some workshops online, and we've always done those. That's not new for us. And we can actually do webinars and stuff online. That's not a problem. But a convention, 16 hours online, that's not going to online cannot take the place of what we're going to do. We could do modules. Like, okay, you want to take all my modules? We'll do those. We'll do them over a period of a month if you want. But I think a convention eventually, I am looking forward to the in-person experience for doctors, where we could literally say, put your hand in the bag and see if you could pull out a prize. You can't do that online. This is not the same, because this is something we're going to do in our convention where you could win stuff, right? So hopefully it'll still be there. And even though it's trendy to do some online conventions, I think that's just people reaching out a little bit too far and too prematurely. That's fine. That's just not me. We can do workshops. That's it. And those workshops that we do online are also at the convention. I mean, we teach you how to make ambassadors. We teach you how to close, how to speak to Americans or patients from all over the world, how to evaluate them and categorize patients. Are they emotional? Are they analytical? Are they scared? And how to overcome all that stuff is what this convention is about. And not to obviously I have to mention that I have some amazing people that are some mentors and colleagues that have worked at the World Health Organization, at the CDC. They've been in they've been in tourism and the safety of tourism for more than 27 years. These are the people that come to my convention. It's all private. Again, we're talking about whether political private. This is completely private as far as the people that are supporting this. Lately, we've been getting huge support, and I have to give them props, from a city which is called Guadalajara, and I think the world knows Guadalajara because of the mariachi and all that. Yeah. They are an example that I am so proud of, because they're really, like, the governments and they're trying to get involved, and they're doing a good job, man. So I'm hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers that they're going to set the standard for how to mix private and government. So we'll see.
I truly wish it. What is the target group for your convention? Are they doctors, clinics, professionals, medical tourism professionals, facilitators?
Exactly, all of it. We've even had people that sell real estate come to our workshops. Anybody that wants to sell right now, it's catered towards the American culture, like understanding Americans and Canadians. So if your business, which is in tourism in general, if your business is trying to target that client, you'll definitely benefit from our convention. But primarily, because it is medical tourism, we go to the plastic surgeons, the weight loss surgeons, the dentists, the hair transplant, all those things, they're definitely welcome. Orthopedic, I don't want to leave anyone out, but they're all welcome as long as you want patients from the US or Canada, which is what we definitely know really well how to do. This convention is going to help you. By the way, it's February 25th and 26th, so it's still a few months away. And again, it's at the Hard Rock Hotel, which is a beautiful hotel, by the way. And we're expecting about 450 participants.
And how people can have more information about this or apply?
Oh, absolutely. So right now we're redoing our webpage, mymedicaldestination.com. You can always go there. We also, you can also reach out to us via email. It's kind of simple, and I'll say it. I don't know if you guys can send it later, but it's actually conferencesandworkshops@gmail.com. Real simple, conferencesandworkshops@gmail.com. My webpage, I think, has my phone number on there. You can always send me a WhatsApp or text me. I will ask that you're persistent, because honestly, we get a lot of calls and emails, and I'm always doing all kinds of stuff, and I don't want to ignore you. You are important to me, especially if you want to raise the level of ethics in your medical tourism habits. Absolutely.
And also, I will put all this information on the description of the video for everyone that will watch the video later. So, Frank, this interview is really interesting, and we have some questions from our friends on Facebook. Actually,
Great.
I have two questions right now. The first question is, Zaha asks, I had found information about a place somewhere in Asia where people go to spend their last days due to incurable sicknesses, and there are specific places to take care about. Is this considered medical tourism? And does it have to do something with the so-called dark tourism? Do you know about this?
Yes, and I don't necessarily have any hospice type of clients yet. I think the word medical tourism, just to talk about the term, is anything that's involved with health or the lack of health is medical, right? And tourism automatically, when you have to travel someplace for your last days, which this is great, by the way, I think having a comfortable, serene last few days somewhere is an amazing thing to do for a human being. I'm not there yet, and I've never been there, but that's what I would want, I guess. So I say yes. I think it is considered medical tourism. I'm not sure if you can advertise it that way. Like in the moment when you want to this place in Asia, if they want to do their campaigning, I'm not sure they could use the word medical tourism, even though it does fall on the category for that. Okay. That's the only thing I would be a little careful more. Like I would pretty much, what's next, or there's a lot of terms that we can use for that type of business. Yeah. But it is medical tourism.
The first time I have information about this, but I will search after this. The next question is from Angelos. Is it safe to travel by plane after having visited a country for medical tourism? And more specifically, is it possible to travel after having undergone a nose operation?
Right. Thank you for the question. It is safe to travel after your rhinoplasty, but I think it's a few days or a certain amount of period. You know what? I don't remember that. I wish I had my plastic surgery expert right now next to me. But there is, just make sure you ask your doctor before you even go to get your rhinoplasty about that. There is some restrictions that are harder upon some patients than others. Like if it's just rhinoplasty for cosmetics versus a reconstruction because you have maybe respiratory issues. So they could be different. As far as the plane being safe, I cannot speak for airlines. I do read a lot. And I know their filtering system is going to change. I think they're going to put some restrictions that are actually going to make it safer. One of the things that I think about, and I want to be really honest about it, is what if I sit next to someone that's coughing? Can I raise my hand and say, hey, I want another? I don't know to what extent that's going to happen. Yeah. But check this out. For sure, the prices on flights will go up. I mean, I think it's logical. Are we willing to pay that? I mean, in order to minimize the risk, for me and my family, absolutely. I may have to take one trip instead of two annually, but I'm definitely going to make sure it's. So I don't know the answer for the airplanes. I'm sorry. I'm sure something will be safe one day, shortly.
But I believe in the long run, clinics will be ready to answer this kind of questions when they will have a clearer picture about what
we're going to answer that, but we're not going to answer that until we know for sure. Mm-hmm. It's just not. It's kind of like a new treatment that they're experimenting on. I'm not willing to sell it.
Yeah. So another question is from Adrian. Will national medical tourism will recover first?
See, the thing about it is that kind of goes along with the radius of the driving range, right? So that falls under national or domestic medical tourism, I guess, within your own country, I think is what that question refers to. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's help each other. Cooperation is the word that I've been listening to a lot in some of these meetings. Let's cooperation. And that has a lot to do with internal,
Yeah.
meaning let me help my neighbor and my neighbor will help another neighbor. Let's just all get together and do this. So yes, people will be hesitant to get on a plane. That was a previous question. So they'll drive and they'll get the little potty, the toilet potty, whatever, or depends where they're driving from. And that is your target. I would say maybe a 10-hour drive maximum. I don't know what country Adrian is in, but we have some countries that are really big, like the US, Russia, Canada, then people driving within one country. And sometimes you have Europe, which you could cross 3 or 4 countries in 10 hours. I don't know. So it depends where.
And Adrian says, I think destination stability and reputation will be important factors. What do you think?
Yes. So what's going to happen is what the reputation, the stability, and all the security features that were promoted pre-COVID, right? Or I've been using the word storm, before the storm, are probably not going to be exactly. They're going to add some to that. You know, your reputation, your stability is going to. Now your reviews, you have to ask your people to say, hey, when you write me a review, can you please mention all the measures and all the steps I took for your protection regarding the storm or regarding COVID. So now your reviews need to talk about that a little bit. You need to ask your patients to do that. That's going to build up that reputation you're talking about regarding their concerns for COVID.
Mm-hmm. And one last question from me.
Okay.
I know I've made a lot of questions today, but actually I have one more.
That's fine.
Do you see actually any changes in people's behavior when they are searching for a treatment? And I'm asking this because, you know, the last 2 months we've seen people searching in a different way, like clinics close to me, dentists near me, dentists that are open, dentists operating during COVID-19. What do you think will happen in the future?
So I think we're talking about the patients and the type of patients that we could look forward to. And I've actually been writing about this. I'll share that with you guys later. I'm going to speculate and guess it's going to be in 3 or 4 stages, the types of patients and the way they see things and feel about things. The very first stage we're in now, which is the people that are calling us now, the people that are reaching out through the portal at What Clinic, basically are people that are not worried. They're more worried about, hey, are you gonna let me in or not? That's their concern. Like they'll call and they say, you know what? No one really, people that are really worried about being infected are not calling. So right now, those most of the people that are calling us are a little bit more adventurous, or maybe they believe it's a hoax. We don't care what they think. They're a little bit that type of breed, right? Okay. The other people that are calling us are people that have urgent needs. So they're just urgent and they cannot afford it at home. And they're like, I don't care, I'm going down there and I'm going to get it done, right? So we're still within the first wave of people. We get very few people in the third age right now, but we do get a lot of calls from them, but not too many are concerned. You know, only people like, for instance, the typical military guy that says, hey man, I've been to 2 wars and nothing happened to me. This virus isn't going to do anything to me. I don't care if I'm 90 years old. That kind of guy will come, you know. Right. It's like, yeah, this bug is nothing. You know, I've killed so many people in war or whatever. Like, oh, goodness. And of course, the people that are within driving range. Now, those things I just described to you are basically the first wave, right? The first stage. Let's call them stages. The second stage just kind of gets a little bit more people. We have the same people that are not worried, the urgent stuff, right? Now, the third age people now are starting to seek more treatment. I don't know when the dates will be, that I cannot give you, but I kind of wanted to categorize the types of patients so we prepare to how we're going to speak to them, obviously, when we do our evaluation, right, of our patients. By the second stage, I think online stuff is becoming a new normal. Online stuff like consultation and stuff and because people are learning. People that did not want to learn to do online stuff, like my mother, she's going to have to learn now, you know, so they just have to. Yeah. So it becomes more of a pre-visit normal kind of thing, right? Again, the driving range and maybe some flights, short-term flights, maybe, you know, that kind of stuff. Then the third stage, okay? This is where we're now targeting all patients again. Not necessarily will they all come, right? But we're going to target them in our campaigning and stuff. See, obviously I do this because of campaigning that we want to do. So we're going to target all ages and all images or whatever. And obviously the new standard is going to set place whether there's a vaccine or not. Okay, so by that, whenever that is, that's when we're going to go ahead and hit that type of all ages kind of thing, right? And the third age people will feel probably a little bit safer, so we can target more of them as well. Like I'll go and visit them again, like I do like in some of the border towns, knock on the door and talk to them about going on medical tourism to other countries. So that's pretty much the three types of mentalities that we're going to in three stages. I hope that answers your question.
It answers it. And also I want to say that at What Clinic we almost daily analyze data from how people are searching the internet, how they reach our website, and we monitor the changes in intention and the way they behave, to not to take advantage of them, but to help them reach their goal easier.
No, sure. And what you do is very valuable, not so much for the business, but you're right, it is to help them, because it's real simple. If people are looking for vitamin C, or let's just say they want to buy Christmas trees, let's go plant some more Christmas trees, right? So you need to know what they want. You need to know how to help them. Let them tell you. Absolutely.
That's good. So, Frank, thank you very much for this interview. We came to an end. We are way past our schedule because we had some interesting questions.
I talked a lot, man. I warned you. I'm sorry.
I hope that, and I'm sure that everyone found interesting everything you said. I hope we helped people.
If people want to add to their chat their email and a question, or if they want to contact me, either myself or someone is going to answer that at one point. I'm happy to, or they can contact What Clinic and then you guys can forward it to us, no problem. Again, we're always willing to help and give you tips. We're pretty much a hotline for whoever wants it. But we want you to do things right.
And I'm sure that, Frank, you're always available, and I can reach you at medical, on your page, actually, Medical Destination.
Yeah, mymedicaldestination.com. And I'm not always available. I mean, but I'll get back to you if you send me a note.
Okay, thank you very much.
No, thank you guys.
If you could give, in one sentence, a positive message to everyone who is watching now, what would you say?
Oh, goodness. Oh, you put the pressure on. In one sentence, something positive. It's, well, let's see. Every day is a holiday and every meal is a feast. How do you like that?
I like it. It's a very, very positive message.
Every day is a holiday. I don't care where you are. It's a holiday today.
Thank you. We have one more question for Adrian. I'm really sorry.
No worries.
Are you ready for the last question?
Yeah, sure.
So, in your opinion, which country from Central and Eastern Europe will have an advantage on the medical tourism market?
Oh, it's hard to see. These are the questions that, first of all, I'm recently learning to tap into the European market and the Asian market. I've been very Latin American kind of thing, right? But now I just get kind of pulled and tugged into other stuff. So I am doing some research. For me, that question is for homework. I apologize. I know that you guys already have some countries. In fact, I think Poland is medical tourism, right?
Exactly,
you guys have like an amazing class.
Czech Republic concerning plastic surgeries and beauty surgeries.
Yeah, Adrian, that question is probably a What Clinic question, and I'm sure Nicholas is going to answer that with some information. That's a great question, though, and I want the answer too.
I could give some insight because I was, discussing with clinics from all around Europe, and Adrian, you can actually watch the last week's webinar we had with the fertility clinic in Spain. Right. They are still operating, and measures are starting to ease in Spain concerning the fertility treatments, and also in Czech Republic measures have started to ease. Next week we're going to have a webinar with a doctor in Czech Republic who can explain to us everything about the situation there, so you can watch it.
I'm gonna join in for sure.
That's good. So, Frank, thank you very much. I appreciate your time for this wonderful interview, and I hope we can rearrange it soon in the future.
You got it. We're gonna go through this whole thing together, man. We're gonna ride the storm.
So everyone stay strong. Thank you for watching us, and
thank you everyone that joined and all the wonderful questions. All right. Bye-bye.